Good afternoon to all of you. As Risto said, I came from Portugal. It's not my first time in Finland. It's my third time in Finland, in different kind of works, but always connected with university jobs or university tasks. For nowadays, I'm a dean of one of the faculties. Our system is different from yours. We don't have a sport school. We have a faculty of human and social sciences. And in that faculty, we have business, management, economics, sociology, psychology, and also sport sciences. I ran the department for 3 years, and then I'm running as dean for 6. Hopefully, the next 2 more and finish as dean. In between, I met these beautiful colleagues in EASM. As Carrie told me, one day I saw one of the seminars of SBI, so Sport Business International. I just entered in the seminar as a free invited people. And I get to know Risto and Carrie, and we start our conversations about working together in some projects. Actually, our panorama in sports is completely different than yours. We don't have ice hockey, we don't have skiing that much, although I live in the town that has snow, the only town that has snow for 1 month. And we are mainly football players, soccer players. This is the big business, where we have good coaches, not that much the recent days. We have good players, we export players, and football is actually the main sport in Portugal. But of course, all the others are taught in the schools, but the traditional ones: handball, volleyball, basketball, soccer, futsal now is raising a lot. We have been a good national team. And all the other: gymnastics, canoeing, triathlon, and some athletics. These are the main sports where we have elite sports too. Okay. When I was invited to come here, I didn't know if it was so big seminar, so I thought it was a kind of a classroom where we could talk about some issues. And I chose this one, Sports Marketing Megatrends, because I benefited while preparing it to improve my knowledge about sports marketing too, because I'm a sport economist. I really do more economics studies and research than marketing. So what I try to do is, as an economist, look at marketing and sports marketing with a different approach maybe from the other people that study that as a field. So besides acknowledging Yamk and Haaga-Helia for inviting me and having me these days, I will start with a small note on the methodology that I used to do this, some 2 or 3 books that I studied, and recent books, recent indexed papers, and finally some lessons that I took from what I read, okay? This will be a very individual lesson that I want to share with you. So maybe I can save you some time. One of the main questions about reviewing is review what? Every paper, every academic paper has one part of it that is review of literature or literature review. But not all of them tells you how they did it. And so I can review from Google. I can review from the net. I can review from indexed papers. I can review from books. I can review in different languages. I can review just in English. And if you go to the literature on that, you can see these terms: literature reviews, review of literature, meta-analysis, systematic reviews, integrated systematic reviews, and so forth. So this link here goes to one part that I'm going to show you after, but goes to Harvard University that has a beautiful lecture on this, and I recommend that mainly for the students and even for the researchers. So I'm going to tell you what I did, not is correct to do or is scientifically correct to do. First of all, I asked this expert in marketing that I was going to come here to say something about sports marketing in the future. I had something to say from my point of view, but I would like to know what a marketing expert will recommend. She sent me 41 papers. I decided for the best 10. She couldn't decide, which is interesting. I just asked them, tell me the best 10 papers or references on this mega trend international sport market. And she sent me 41, which means she couldn't not define what is the best 10. Okay? So I decided for myself, this is a personal thing. And then I did my special research, and usually I do this for writing papers to publish in peer-reviewed journals, indexed on Thomson. I use this criteria. There are others. But I think Thomson ISI, you say it here, in Portuguese is ISI, Index Scientific something, from Thomson Reuters. And we have this kind of more confidence that those papers are not published everywhere. So they are they have a scrutiny very severe. Sometimes the paper goes and comes like 3 or 4 times, and sometimes they take 2 years to publish. So they must be at least more accurate, the reviewers. So I did it my special by time, so I just decided the last 4 years, so to be here with recent studies, only in English language. I didn't check for Portuguese or Finnish, because I couldn't read it, at least Finnish. Only scientific and peer-reviewed sources with higher indexation. So the first journals in the world, I look at them. This is the link that I showed you before from Harvard. It's very easy. This is a lecture, so you can attend to the lecture also. It's good. So my question was, what are scholars writing on sports marketing? What are they writing? I don't know. I didn't know. I choose 2 recent books for main concepts. The 2 books that colleague of mine told me I teach to the students. So they are from the last edition from 2013. I'm going to show them. And then I did my special research, as I told you, gathering by abstract and conclusions and further research, synthesize them, choose the main issues, their contexts, and feeling the new trends, and this is also personal, that's my feeling, and write this presentation. This was before beginning September and yesterday. Okay. I don't know if you are familiar with this book. No? Most of you are. So this is one of the books that I brought something to here. There's a first part of an introduction of what is sport marketing, and then we have customers, 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 and customers, okay? Which was predictable. understanding them, responding to their questions, engaging customers, this is more recent, and satisfying and serving customers. And then, on the last part of the book, we also have some chapters, interesting, talking about brand performance. I tried to do a brand performance in my country. How did big firms and brands sponsor the big clubs in Portugal? The first 3. And they just give the amount of money they have for advertising. That's it. They don't know how much should they give, how much should they ask, how much should they negotiate their contracts. Because they only measure this by exposure on TV. Okay, that's the only measure they use. There is a firm with 60 people working in computers, measuring how many times Coca-Cola be presented during a game of football, and then they make a compilation of that and they give. You see, you have been in our stadium for 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Okay, how much does it cost? X. And this is basically what happens. The chapter 13 is more recent, of course, the living, as Bill said before, the living experiences. What we are trying to deliver with sports is the experience of being there. I have been in the World Championship of something. I have been in the Olympics. I saw him jumping so many meters or swimming so fast than others didn't. And the other one that I think is very familiar for and very keen to SBI, it is how should we prepare the future sport marketeers? So we want people prepared to do better sports marketing. This one, I don't know if you also are familiar with, but maybe you are. This is more keen to me because it has more economic approach. Creating long-term value. And I'm going to go through the words, you read it, I will not talk. The blue is just to tell you the main concepts I could catch while I was reading the book and the main things that they are concerned with. Sport management context. Sometimes people forget this. One thing is manage sport in schools, or manage sport in clubs, or manage sports in the Olympics. Everything is different. And histories and sport funds, and there's a whole chapter about this, and measures. One chapter only about measures. How do you measure that? So people are more interested nowadays, recently, in measuring, not just saying this is good, this is a lot of money. And to develop some sports marketing, people have to have strategy and planning, of course. This is basic to management in all kinds of business. And the recent buzzword is marketing fusion, using all this kind of things that you... What is this? Oh, this is kind of a program, yeah? Is it? I can't read a word. So, but marketing fusion, I will show you a figure in just a minute. Then they are comparing this traditional advertising against the social and digital advertising. Sport management revenues, how much did you get from that? Sponsorship and event management, licensing and merchandising. This is the fusion marketing, or the marketing fusion. There's a They call it the Bible, but it's a book, of course, a recent book. And the picture tells you what is going on recently. Sport marketeers have to look at this and try to figure out how can they work with these so many links, okay? There are means, instruments, and things that nowadays are used for. As you know, 10 years ago, we couldn't see too often, like, what do you call Risto? A manif, how do you call it? A demonstration? Demonstration. Big demonstration, and in Portugal, last 5 years to now, we had a lot of demonstrations just combined by digital means, Twitters, Facebook, whatever. Not a postcard, not a cartoon, nothing. Just people appeared in a plaza and maybe 20 to 50,000 people were gathering for some reason just by mailing, tweeting, or Facebook. This is new for us. I don't know here, but we are a country of a lot of demonstrations. So we demonstrate for animals, defending the animals, defending the nature, against the government, strike for best salaries, teaching, professors, schools, and so on. So these are the two concepts, are also very familiar for you. What is marketing in the general sense and what is sport marketing in a general sense is an application of the concept of marketing. But what it was interesting is that nowadays we talk about those two other meanings. Marketing of sports, like Vil said, we want people to do more sports, to be more fit, to be more physically active, etc., etc., etc. And then we have also the brands that market through sports. They want to go together with the sport so they can advertise their brands. Let's see what happened now in Germany. This is also from the book, the first book that I told you, concepts that maybe you all know very well, so I'm just remembering, it's not a lesson, that the value depends the consumption benefit and the sacrifices that it requires, and then you have two options, or you increase the benefits, or you reduce the sacrifices. So this is what gives value to something. And another figure, very interesting, I just put it here for some seconds, so in order that you can read it. The core is the sports. Of course, the sports is made by athletes, marketeers, fans, and media, basically. But then you also have all these kind of people around, or institutions or organizations that co-create value with sports, okay? And this is also a new buzzword in sports marketing, is the co-creation, which means that the clients, the customers, they can co-create value. And there's a lot of firms that do this with, for instance, Microsoft did it with hackers. They hire the hacker that can put a virus in their system, okay? If there's one guy in the world that puts a virus in their system, they hire him for a big salary, okay? Because it's going to improve Microsoft's system, and maybe Apple is the same, and other firms. When I look there, and this is my critical point of view, just, I noticed that there's nothing about referees, so they don't bring value to the sport. I don't think so. And there's nothing about cities. The way you manage the city is the way that you promote better or worse sports or the city through sports. I was very glad to know that Uvascular is thinking about applying for the city of sports. This is good. In all the countries should have a city of sports. One city that wants to be known, branded through sports. And this is very important for a number of reasons in sport marketing, okay? The referees, because all the newspapers and the TV programs that we have in Portugal, 99% depends on what they have done during the games last Sunday. Okay, so the referees are the core of the discussion that still serve as an excuse for the club to have lose or to have win the game. And referees are organizing themselves, in some countries already are, organized independently of the federation. In our country, it still is within the federation, which is very bad for sports. Okay, this is also things that you know from the book: monopoly area, television area, highlight area, and the experience area. Here is where we live now. This is also things that you know in all the courses of sports marketing. What is the sports product nowadays? What does it connect? Just a few seconds so you can remember it. And when we come to the megatrends, this is an important issue. People sometimes are organizing their lives and their cities and their territories as if we were growing all day, all year, all the next 5 or 10 years. There's a lot of mistakes done, at least in my country, and that's what I'm talking about. I don't know what is going on in Finland. So every time I say something, please connect it to the context of Portugal so I don't miss anything. So the point is that we have been preparing our cities for a growing population. And we were 10 millions in the 1980s, and now we are around 6.8. Okay, we lost for emigration and for elderly people that much of people, population. And we are preparing the cities as we were growing all the time. So the construction is now in a big crisis, okay? Now, look at this for the sports and try to figure out how the economists think about sports. I always look at this. My colleagues talk about the biking and cycling and whatever for elderly people. That is not sports. That is physical activity, which is very different, in my mind. Sports means competition, means organized leagues, means organized championship, means elite sports, means picking up the talent of the people and developing it till they are very elite sports people. This is sports. All the other things is useful, very useful, but is for health sciences, and this is a huge problem we have in Portugal, I don't know here, but sports sciences never grow up enough to beat health sciences. For instance, for competing for funding, public funding for research, we should be within the health sciences or the science of life. We don't have funds for sports sciences in Portugal, okay? So there's a bias between what we should do and work on and what is being studied and worked on. So the doctors still have a very important role, and they prescribe exercise also. Doctors, fat like me, prescribing exercise, smoking. Okay? So you understand what I mean? So doctors are doctors. Important. Very important profession. Very important job in every country. But who knows about sports and health and activity are the sportsmen. So they should give that part for who knows about the thing. This is important mainly for managers, okay? Everyone in Portugal is a manager. Club managers, volunteer clubs, they order, they know everything. They know how to train, they know how to coach, they know who is the better, and they say to the coach, hey coach, this kid is much better than that kid. And they go to the training practice, and they try to pressure people to do what they want. Because people don't split knowledge, and they don't know what I know how to do, and what is a professional for sports, and what is a sport marketer. Okay? Very different things. They must work together, of course. They must. So I congratulated the conference or the seminar, because we invited an economist, an old player of, bad player of volleyball, but a reasonable coach for kids. So I have 25 years of training in the pitch, and also was a referee, and also was on the national board of the volleyball federation, and I know a little bit of that, but I am not a sports guy to give the physical training. I don't have enough skills to do that, so I had a colleague of mine that worked with me on that part. Second big challenge for all of us, greater ethnic diversity. We are going to look at that in Europe the next 10 years. Very strongly. We were used to African people because we have colonies, and we received a lot of them. After the revolution in democratic revolution, we received about 800,000 people from the colonies. And we accommodate them, and everyone was okay. And they were entrepreneurs, and they make new business, and they developed a lot of firms and a lot of industries, and a lot of sports too. They were very enthusiastic and passionate about sports. So this will be the next future for all of our countries. I don't know here, up in the north, but maybe they will come to one day. Third, decrease leisure time. This is discussable depending on the context, the countries, but usually fewer people are working for a lot of people. I don't know if it's the case here, but I do a lot of things because others don't. And 1/3 of my salary goes to pay 3 minimum wages in taxes. So which means that I'm working for 4. Okay? Which means that a few of us, mostly maybe you that are in this room, will go to work more than a lot of them that are aging and they cannot work anymore. And you have to maintain them as far as for the kids. This is new. We never pass for a context like this. And we have to think it about economics. Who is going to pay this? Taxes? So a few of us are working and we pay more taxes to support all of this. How is it going to be funded? This will be a very interesting also trend for marketing sports. The fourth one, you are more developed than us, 10 years maybe, 15, but we are living now that moment that women are in the job market, and this means that women also have buying power, purchasing power, and they can be more interested. And being male or female, at least in Portugal, is very different as a customer. So for sports marketeers, they have to take care of this trend, mega trend. Okay, geographic changes in US, because this was made by Americans. We put it UA, or European EU, and it's the same, because we are now crossing a very huge challenge also. And the last thing that I talked recently with Risto about this in a dinner, there's a big, huge demand for social responsibility, fortunately. People are fed up of corrupted people. People are fed up, younger people are fed up about people that took the public money and use it for private service. And this is something that is going to change a lot in the next future. As Risto said, we hope that our students take some of these lessons, and hopefully they will be the next managers for sports. And if they are, maybe the world become better. Because nowadays nobody believes on this generation anymore. Even Beckenbauer, yesterday, I was like, what? Maybe Beckenbauer can be in the middle of this bribery scheme of the 2000? I can't believe it. I won't believe it. But they say so. So these are the main trends for the future. So, recording again or remembering for you, this all has to do with market segmentation. Who doesn't do market segmentation for sports doesn't know how to market. Okay? So you have to take care of the market segmentation, and a lot of studies that are being done here also present that change in the pattern of the customers of the events. The same for sponsorships. The chairmen, the CEOs of the firms are not anymore the same. They also changed. And the firms itself, they changed a lot. They are in groups. They are a part of a big group. And the media, a lot of the media are owned by the firms, okay, that I was talking about. In Portugal, there are 3 big firms that own all the news and TV. So we have to know how they function, how they think, how they work, in order to get market segmentation adequately. Brand, everybody knows. Identity, image, promise, and relationship. This is the basic for brand. And I don't know, do I have some time more? Or I'm not taking care about the time. Please. 10 minutes, okay. So I don't show you this film, because otherwise you will look at the film and say, ah, God, so good. So, economists come again. Numbers, figures. How much are we talking about? Forbes did a recent survey on branded events, and they considered the total revenue, those 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but divided by the number of days of the event, which is interesting, because if it's a European Championship, it takes a lot of time. If it's a one-shot event, is another thing, okay? I try to translate in euros, so it's easier, but in dollars is easy to see also. And the top 10s, anyone want to guess the third? Anybody wants to try the fourth? It's an interesting test. Even for me, I was surprised at some of this. Winter Olympic Games was a surprise for me. I didn't know if it was too much. Kentucky Derby, I don't know what it is, but it must be a derby between football, is it? Horse race? Horse racing, okay. Sorry about my ignorance about this. UEFA Champions League, that for us in Portugal is the biggest one. Everybody wants to be there. If you win a game, the club receives 1.5 million euros. If you win the game, not the champion, not the group. If he wins the group, he has more, 6 million, and is accumulating. Daytona, also there. MLB All-Stars Week, and all this is the brands that we are getting used to. There's no one brand anymore. There's a lot of brands for the same event. This is something that for Nasty Rallies, maybe they are going to invite Marlboro to sponsor next. By the way, do you know who is the best sponsor for Nasty Rally? Of course, I'm not asking you, Risto. I'm asking the Finnish people. I didn't know too, but when I saw the picture, oh, okay, makes sense. Risto, tell these people, Nestor, and then the other brand that is in everywhere. When you look to the picture, we look to the film, it's not Nasty Oil. Nasty Oil is the name and is the brand, of course. But they also have sponsors. You don't know them. Red Bull. Of course, I mean, there are a lot. But those that jump to your eyes when you see a picture or a film. Okay. The other trend that I would like to tell you something about is this is the figure for the past. And what we are looking at is that there are changes mostly from commodities to people. So to brand, to market a brand, you have to look to the people more than to the commodity itself. Okay? Although it's also important. But we are changing from tangible to intangible. We are changing for lived experience and digital experience. And we are working on the personalities of people. Okay, now very briefly to finish, my expertise advisory literature. I found between 2008 and 2015, 41 revised papers that worked on consumer satisfaction, value assessments, mega event legacies, innovation technology and entrepreneurship, market segmenting, redefining concepts for a unique scientific area, and this is a trend that everybody is thinking that thinking sports marketing should be international, and only internationally it makes sense. Okay? And the expert, more accurate academic papers with the 3 keywords of sport. The star means, I don't know if you ever made this kind of research, but if you search and if you put sports, star means everything started with sport is there. So sportsmen, sportswear, sports, everything, sporting, whatever is there. Like market and review, refined by those two big areas, sports sciences and business economics. Published just the last 3 years, I found 50 papers from relevant for the team, for this theme of sports marketing, just 17. You see? And the main themes hierarchy is different. Social media and sports value co-creation. This is the theme. Looking for advertising efficiency and pricing measures. How much do you sell it? How much do you buy it? Links with industries. Nobody works anymore without the firms. Sports, wear clothes, intelligent shoes, and digital technologies. Everywhere in the world are looking at this. Experimental contests. Lots of papers on that. And again, CSR, corporate social responsibility, and some on food and beverage and health issues. So they are studying that a lot of firms, for instance, Marlboro, sponsoring sports, or bad beverage, sponsoring healthy sports, This is a big issue nowadays, and the firms are having to be careful with that. Residual but emergent is music with sports. It means everything that is done before the game, during the game, in the middle of the game, or the event. Music is becoming more important, and also this thing, male and female behaviors. So and I finish with this slide. Repeat, this is personal, individual. It's nothing scientific. So it's based on science, published science also, but it's much more personal. Literature was very important to improve my knowledge about this, and I think for you all. Books do still insist in customers, brand and experiences, and marketeers' jobs, or the value chain defines measures to measure everything and fusion market. And of course, the other slide that I spend a lot of time on, new sociodemographic trends, aging, ethnical diversity, more purchase power of women, decreased leisure time, demand for social responsibility, government renewal. As I said with Risto, this needs a refreshment. It's going to be the future. Market segmentation, more intangibles, more experiences in more digital, more international and global. Thank you for your attention. Sorry to bother you with those things, but that's all I could do. Thank you.